Hello, I'm Czardus, and let's play City Skylines. Today we are going to be, you guessed it, building an airport. This is a pretty cool build that I wanted to do. I saw this design for an airport, or the concourse at least, and I thought it was really cool. It is the Beijing Daxing airport in China, and I thought it just looked like a pretty cool design, and I wanted to try to replicate it a little bit. So we are here on the map that is for the airport's global build off, and this build was actually part of that as well. So I am here trying to just design out what we want here, and just for reference, the plan for this episode or for this video is to have the time lapse of the build with me doing commentary, and then we will do a very, very short cinematic, and then we'll go into a little bit of a live tour. So that is the plan, and I hope you stick for the whole thing. But anyway, that here is the concourse. And originally, my idea was to have this concourse, and then in the very center, I was going to have like the Victorian palm house glass at the like in the middle, but I couldn't quite get it to work. So instead, I just went with what you see here. And here, I'm just messing with node controller and trying to get uh, the extensions the way I wanted it, and I ended up getting it to work. Then I had two large plane stands and four medium ones for each wing. That's the word I'm looking for, wing. And that really worked out well. I think it fits. It is about the right size that you would expect. And speaking of size, the dimensions of that concourse are accurate for the Beijing Dancing. It is 4,000 feet from like in diameter. So that is the plane there. And then here I also wanted to have realistic runways. So I looked it up, and the largest runways in the world right now for commercial aircraft are about 13,000 feet long. And so that is what I built. I built two runways. We're going to have one for arrivals and one for departures. And then we're going to have one more small runway for smaller aircraft. And they're all functional exactly the way that I intended them to be. So that is really exciting. We don't end up getting as much traffic at the airport as I wanted, because the city just isn't quite big enough, and I didn't have time to grow it even bigger. But I think it's pretty cool. So here I am making the smaller runway. You can see I had the position in one spot and then decided to move it down a little bit further. And the way I got this to work is I had the taxiways for the smaller one go across the other taxiway, or like I positioned the one-way parts of the taxiway so that the only way to get to the satellite concourse for the smaller aircraft is by the small runway. Here, I'm just going in here and marking or like adding the high speed taxiways to get off. And they are not functional because the game does not work that way with them. But they do give the really good look. Now I'm trying to get access in for the cargo terminal. So we have one road coming in that goes through a tunnel, and then I end up putting it in a toll booth by the tunnel as well. Then we get the cargo terminal here, and I wanted to go in and see how many we could fit here. So I put them this way, and then I went like that. And I was pretty happy with that sizing because then in a little bit, we end up with three groups of those nine um, plane stands. So I am pretty happy with that. And then over here, I mean, yeah, you can see that I'm trying to. Oh, here I'm putting in the cargo train line too. This is one of my favorite train stations right now. It is the underground cargo station. It's a little bit tricky. The uh, rail, when you first connect it, makes a little hole, so you have to cover it up with something. So it doesn't work in vanilla, but it does work pretty cool. I mean, I guess it would work in. No, no, it doesn't work in vanilla. You have to use mod to move that node a tiny bit, I think. I don't remember. It's very early in the morning. I'm having coffee and yeah, having just recovered from COVID, or I'm in the process of recovering from COVID, I suppose. But anyway, what I'm doing here is I'm getting the small private jet parking. So I thought that would add a little bit of something different to this airport. So I wanted these by that smaller concourse so they can get their planes. Then the plane, or like the pilots, can bring them over to the concourse and stuff like that. Now here I'm adding the metro over to the city, and then I added a monorail as well to a off-site parking area that I didn't end up being happy with, so we don't really show it very much. But it's not all that different from what I did in St. Clair. So there's that. But then I added we only saw a tiny bit of it. I added the uh, service roads. Here I'm adding the fire department. And then over here, we're adding a little bit to the concourse as well. We're getting those airport clubs or airline clubs. And then I decided to put the towers over here in their own little building. I got two towers. One is presumable. I mean, one could be for each runway, or one could be for um, approaches, and one could be for taxiing. There are different configurations that people can use for those. Here I'm just adding a whole bunch of warehouses, primarily to get more cargo traffic out here. And that really worked. For a while, there was nothing going on at the cargo airport. But after I got these in here, we started to see some flights come in. I end up redoing that a little bit later as well. Now over in here, I wanted to add a little bit of short-term parking. So I'm adding a garage here. I'm trying to decide exactly how I want to do this. And I am pretty happy with how it turned out, because over in here, look at that sky bridge there. And the roads kind of weave together and stuff like that. So it looks pretty cool. And then we have one surface lot here. I think, did I keep that? I think I did keep this. Just a little bit of extra parking here. And then later on, we add parking on the other side as well. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And then here, oh yeah, this is the off-site parking that I wasn't all that thrilled about. But we get a monorail here that goes over to the airport. We get a little bit of parking in, and then that's that. I'm going to have some coffee. So I think that is, I mean, yeah, this is how this little thing works. And then I like the monorail that connected to it. It's a nice little shuttle. And then I added just a little bit there. I intended to add more, but then ran out of time during the week. Here I'm looking, and I tried to get lights to work right here. So like I went in here. Oh, and this is me trying to figure out uh, the runway numbers as well. So I came in here and then I figured out this is about 300 degrees. So I added 30. Then we have R, L, and C. We have 3 parallel runways, so they all get the same number, but they get the uh, L, C, and R designation on them as well. Then over in here, we are now rearranging this. I wanted to add a little bit of space for like the main delivery services to have their own little things. And here I'm trying to figure out how we're rearranging those tanks and getting this tunnel to work right. And also trying to make sure that the slope isn't too bad for trucks to be going down. And it is still really steep for them. It is nearly 10% on each side of that tunnel. But that is acceptable, or like within the range of acceptable stuff. So that is what we did. Then coming in here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of other stuff. We're making these functional so that the warning things go away. And then we're getting the lines in, and we're going to get some trucks parked in here. And I think I used the same type of truck for each one, just because I didn't have the prop versions of each DHL, UPS, and FedEx there. But now we're doing a retaining, or not a retaining, a retention pond for water, because there you want to have a drainage point so that your runways stay clear of puddles and stuff like that. Then I wanted to have parking for some of the main airport service building or vehicles. So I got that in here, and I wanted like a little office building for airport maintenance and stuff like that too. So we've got this over here, and then we're going to get a whole bunch of different airport stuff. So we've got these different things that pull the planes away. We have luggage things, and then now I got distracted, and now I'm putting in the other parking over here. And this parking, I think, would be more like, so the parking garage I view as like just hourly parking, whereas this one would be like maybe 1 or 2 days. So you don't want to, it would be pretty expensive, but not as bad as the parking garage. And then the off-site one would be even cheaper. So like for long-term parking, you could go over there. Airports have way too much parking. In fact, I think everything has way too much parking. They need to reduce parking minimums so that we don't have such a waste of parking in the world, especially in the US. But anyway, that's a different thing. Now I'm adding a little bit of pedestrian access from that new parking lot. And then I'm going in here and adding trees. Now, the thing about the trees that was weird is that at some point after doing the cinematic shots and before doing my screenshots, I got vanilla trees remover activated, and everything you see me adding here is now a vanilla tree. And so then I went to do the screenshots, and it was like gone. So it was a little bit frustrating, and I had to take screenshots without them for a while, and then to think about it for a while, because of course my brain this week hasn't quite been functional. And then I figured it out. So we got some good screenshots too, but now I'm just anyway. Then here, this, I don't know how I ended up feeling about this, but this is, I tried to think, I mean, the airport itself is in a really dry part of the map, and you see me making the sand again, because I had taken it out for a little bit, because I figured they would want a nice looking entrance for uh, visitors and stuff like that, but they also wouldn't want to pay too much. So the dry grass that was hidden behind the trees was stuff that they like haven't paid to keep the water going there. And then here I'm just adding a little bit of detail. I added some parked planes to make it look like we have a little bit more going on. And then here I'm just adding the uh, the sign for the runway. And I only did one, to be honest. I thought about doing all of them, and I wanted to have fun with it, but we didn't do that. So now, cinematics. Okay, so here we are now on the other side of the cinematics. We're going to do a quick live tour, just show off a few things, move a little bit slower. The time lapse had to go pretty fast to get everything in that I wanted to. And yeah, anyway, so yeah, we have the entryway coming in here, and I don't know, it kind of splits off this way, and then you have your arrivals and departures. It splits a little bit. We have a statue here. I don't know why. I just felt like it seemed to be fitting for the entry here. Maybe it is an important person in the city history, or in aviation. I don't know, but that's what that's there for. And then, of course, we have this part, which I know in here and over this way, it would be like the hub for entering from public transit. I'm not really sure what they would put over in here. Like maybe a restaurant or something, I guess, that people could go to. Not really sure. But then we have a couple of hotels over here that I don't think you saw in the cinematic either. But they add just a little bit of reason for that parking lot. And I just realized we have parking on this road. Should not have that. That's okay. Then over here we have our terminal, and I really like how it looks. And I like that I added the parked planes. They add just a little bit of uh, activity there. Like it feels like activity. Here's a plane coming in now. What are you going to do here? You are a, oh, you're, no, you shouldn't be taking off. That is the one where you land. No, that is the takeoff. Yeah. So the way I designed it is that this is the arrivals, so that there's more space. And on this side, there isn't much space. That's really what it is. Here's the departure, and then that runway, they have more space on the map to take off. Not really sure it matters, but that is what it is. Here comes a large passenger plane coming in. So where are they headed? They're going to come down here to this one plane stand here. So that is that. And then over in here, we have how this sign turned out. I'm really happy with it. It's the first time I've done any airport detailing with signs like that, and I like it. We also have that there. We have the extensions on taxiways that just make it a little bit more realistic, and on the runway itself. In fact, let's hide all these warning signs. By the way, that's the wrong thing. The warning notification is hidden. That's in there because we have all these taxiways that don't quite connect, but that is fine because everything is functional the way it is intended. And at some point, I'll do a video about how to get your runways to be set up that way, to have one as arrivals and one as departures. So anyway, yeah, we have here the little like service area. So you've got one building here that people can work at, and then some of that. I should have put in employee parking somewhere, and that is one thing I forgot. I intended to do that and did not quite get to it. Here's a small aircraft. Oh, it's gone now. Then over in here we have our small jet parking area, which is cool too. And then over in here we have like maintenance. Here we have cargo out this way. And then our retention pond. Out here we have our different delivery things, and yeah, they are all the same type of truck, but that's still fun. I mean, it's still out here you can see UPS, DHL, and FedEx, and you get the idea. Then you have the trucks going through here, coming over this way, and then we have various things. We have trees in the middle of our road, which was not intended to be that way, but we're going to just ignore it, even though I've just talked about it. We also have trees over in here that I'm not really a fan of, but we're going to leave them just because I wanted to have these in here to really pull in more cargo at the airport. And then the train station is getting used too. Then the same thing over here. We have a couple of warehouses out here that just add another little bit of buildings to the whole area. Then over this way, we have our smaller runway. So we have these two runways that I don't know if they're too close or not. I don't think they are, because I measured as I was building things. But here we've got from center to center, we have about 400 feet. So I think that should be plenty. And then over here we have another retention pond. And the small airport, or the small satellite concourse for the private jets and things like that. Which I'm not quite sure where they would come in. Like, would they get to their private jet by going through the main concourse, or would they go privately out this way? I think they probably would come out and come through here, and then their delivery would bring them this way, because they would have already gone through some security here, and then they get out here and maybe would have to go through more security. I'm not quite sure how that works. I've never been able to fly on a private jet, and I don't know if I ever want to, but anyway, that is pretty much my airport. I did add just really basic access here. Not really judged on that for the competition, so didn't want to spend too much time and effort on an interchange that wouldn't really count. But that's my build. I hope you have enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun building it, And the global build off competitions are always so much fun to do. And yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.